Hey guys, Midget here and welcome to another episode of my Walking Dead video reviews. Today I'm reviewing episode 5 of season 5 and it's called Self-Help. Okay guys, so this episode was a bit lackluster. I didn't quite enjoy it as much as the other ones. It starts off, and just before I get started, I just want to say this episode is going to be largely shorter than other episodes of my reviews because I'm really tired and there wasn't too much highlights in this episode, like main amazing things in this episode, so obviously I'm not going to be talking about anything, but it starts off with Rosita and Abraham flirting, and Tara and Eugene talk about the priest. For example, like Eugene starts talking about why he doesn't understand why Gabriel did what he did, was locking people out and etc. And then the group passed some walkers and they crash, and first of all I didn't understand how they crashed. I thought that they ran into some smoke and hit a car, but obviously then we find out that Eugene put glass in the engine or something along those lines because he's a phony, and obviously loads of people have been speculating this, including me, that he's a bit dodgy and fishy and he doesn't sound like a scientist, and obviously he, spoiler alert, he did confirm that later on in the episode. So he's a phony, and he put glass in the engine pipe so he doesn't get to Washington. You know what I mean? Like, so he doesn't get there, because then the group will stop protecting him, and he'll die by himself. But he has more chance of survival, he said, in Washington. So that's why he wants to get to Washington. And that's basically when the credits start. Then the thing after is a flashback of Abraham in the store, drunk I presume. He looks a bit slowish and sluggish, so I presume he's a bit drunk, and he's killed like loads of people, and he goes to his wife and kids, and they're all really petrified. Don't know if it's because they're frightened of him, or frightened of the blood, or frightened of what he did, and they think he's a monster. I'm not sure. I didn't quite understand that, as you can probably see by my face right now. I'm not really in the best physical form to be talking, but I'm trying to do this video anyway. It is currently 10 PM for me, and last night I went to bed at 1, so as you can probably tell I've not really had much sleep. But anyway, Tara is told to protect Eugene, but instead she gives him a gun, and it pays off sort of. She goes, okay, you can't be a sissy forever, basically along those lines, and she gives him a knife, and he's there, losing his mind. I thought he was going to faint at one point, but she gives him a knife, and everybody's killing walkers, and then there's him just standing there, and one walker sort of grabs Tara behind her back, and he just pussy ass stabs the walker, doesn't kill him or anything, and then she finishes him off. And when she talked to him later on in the episode and thanked for saving her life, I think she was a bit nice there, because even though if it would have grabbed it, probably would have killed her, that wasn't really saving anyone's life, because if you just left it, it would have still done what it would to her, because you could see that wasn't the most powerful strike. But whatever. Abraham gets told Abraham gets a cut basically on his arm, and I was thinking at this point, what is it? Is it a bite? Is it a normal cut? Is he infected? And then immediately he starts losing it. So like Glenn checks up on him, and he appreciates Glenn doing what he has done. For example, just being there, with him not being the only male. He doesn't say that, but he implies it, I should say. And so he just appreciates Glenn for what he did, and then they get into the library and barricade it, and funnily enough, Abraham and Glenn talk, and just as they finish talking, I wasn't really paying attention to what they was talking about, but then he goes, okay, no, I'm going to shag Rosita now, basically. Oh, that's what he suggests. That's what I got from it, and yes, I'm not going to say funnily enough, and he walks off, and he's just there. The next scene is him just, having sex with Rosita, and Eugene watching. It was funny as hell. You should have just seen that. Well, he's just there, having an intimate moment with Rosita, and she's like, Eugene's watching, and it's really funny because, he's just there like, it's funny. It's very funny. It's very funny how he's just there behind the bookcase, just staring at him, and they don't care. But Tara gets Eugene to stop looking, and he says, sorry, something, I like the female body. She's there creeped out. Okay, why do you think we crashed? And he confesses that he put glass in the thing, and she's like, dude, you could have killed us, blah blah blah. And she goes, okay, don't tell anybody, we can keep this a secret. And yeah, that's basically second thingy. This is where the first break happens, and then after that break, this was probably the worst bit of the season yet. I had absolutely no highlights, so I'm just going to think of two at the top of my head. I can argument between them staying and leaving, I presume, and Eugene saves the group by pouring loads of water on them, and then that sign comes up. I can't remember what it said, but basically Eugene washes off all the walkers and kills all the walkers because of the water, which I was thinking it's completely useless because they were talking about having no water, so they had water there. I don't know if it was clean, but I presume it was, but nevertheless they just, whatever, and Eugene saves them nevertheless, and yes, and Abraham just wants them to carry on, and doesn't want them to stop. And then the group come to a halt once again, and Maggie and Eugene talk about how Maggie thinks he hasn't given up and everything, and Glenn smells something. And that's basically all that happened. And then there was a second break, which the group run into millions of walkers, and Abraham doesn't want to give up. He's thinking of plans that are just almost close to impossible. For example, riding your fire truck through the millions of walkers down that street, etc. And all the group starts, saying no. So he finally does give up, and he grabs Eugene, and even Rosita agrees with everyone but Abraham. So the scene becomes really hectic as Abraham literally grabs Eugene, and they start walking off, and then Eugene spills the beans, as we like to call it here in England. He confesses, obviously, that he's not a scientist, and everybody's in disbelief, and he's Rosita, I remember saying that loads of people died because of you, and then he starts naming people, and I think he names around 10, maybe, top of my head, I can't remember. He names 10, 11 maybe. None of them we know except Bob, obviously, which is weird. And then he starts being all jokey about it, and he doesn't really show any humour, but he does puts a bit of joke into it. Starts going, I don't even know this guy, there's a mullet, I thought, blah blah blah. He starts talking about his haircut, but then he goes, I am cleverer than you, and Abraham just stands up and knocks him out, and then walks off and cries. And we obviously see how they met. We see that how Abraham's family left him, and he saw them dead. He saw his two children and wife's corpses, basically dead corpses, and then he's about to kill himself. He puts his gun in his mouth, and just some random guy running away, walking away I should say, it wasn't much of a run, and he sees some guy run away, which is Eugene. He's running away from three walkers, and he's help. So Eugene goes to help him. He stabs the three walkers, and he's I think they're getting faster. No, mate, you just fat. But let me just get things now. What happened then? Oh yeah, Abraham wanted to go back to his family, but he says, you can't. I've got a mission. And that's where it ends. So basically that's everything, and now the questions. So I've only thought of two over the course of this episode. It wasn't that much entertaining, so I didn't have many questions. But is Eugene dead? Because as we see when Abraham knocks him out, they lift his head and he's knocked the hell out, or he's even dead. He's not answering. And I saw people on Facebook saying back in the episode Clear, where we meet Morgan again, we reunite with Morgan. On his wall there was loads of spoilers, someone sprained their ankle, and Beth sprained their ankle or something, her ankle, and she died, which obviously she didn't, but something along those lines on the picture. I can remember some Zach, it said Zach it said everything about the episodes. It said Zach dies, and Zach died. It said Eugene turns, and Eugene's obviously dead, so maybe Eugene will turn. but we don't know that. And is Abraham bitten? Because obviously as he punches Eugene, he said he has a little cut. He punches Eugene, and they look at Rosita, and it focuses on a gun. So, and then he looks at his arm, and just walks off. I don't know if that's because he made himself bleed again because of the punch, or literally he's just trying to hold it off, because he is losing it a bit, isn't he, now? I don't know whether that's because of the stress of getting Eugene safe, or just because he's bitten and he's losing his mind, he doesn't want anybody to know, but he starts bleeding again, which is weird. But okay, yeah, so the last thing I want to say in this episode is, in fact, no, one more question. When will we see the normal group again? And I presume it won't be next episode. It'll be the episode after, which I presume is episode 7. I don't even know if this is episode 5. I presume it is. So episode 7, I think we'll see them. And then we'll see 7 and 8, everybody. Maybe not together, but we'll have a bit of everybody in 8, I presume. But in 7, I think we'll have the normal group again, and 6 will be Daryl and Carol. That storyline. But anyway, I thought this episode was a bit mediocre, guys. It was nothing special, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It had its good moments, but apart from the confession, you can't really say it was a good episode. Okay, it had some funny, cool stuff. For example, the sex scene. You could have said that was alright. You could have found killing Walker's alright. You could have found the flashback alright, maybe, hard to argue, and you could have found the crash okay, but really the storyline was a bit boring behind it. There wasn't much character development, which we like. Obviously we focus on Eugene and how he's developed, and also Abraham, so there is a bit of character development there as we see the flashbacks, but it's not major and it's not something amazing. And also the episode wasn't written well, in my opinion. And it was also very sluggish and slow. So, yeah, basically that's my review on this episode, guys. Sorry if it's short, I can't really tell the time. But anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, guys, make sure to give this episode a like. And so this is Midget, I'm going to see you guys later. Peace out.